In today's Outriders video, I'm going to share with you an updated, reforged pyromancer build focusing on anomaly power, anomaly damage, and very good crowd control. Because in the past I already made a couple of videos about the Reforged Set, I'm not going to delve too deep into how things work, but I'm going to try my best to explain things as fast and as comprehensive as possible. So without any further delay, let's start with our skills. Initially, I wanted to make an updated hybrid build using Feed Flames, Thermal Bomb and Volcanic Rounds. However, I did a lot of testing and Ash Blast became my favorite skill to use in combination with the other two. After that, I started to test the build focused more on anomaly power and anomaly damage, and the results are extraordinary. Very good cooldown for the skills, basically you spam them, very good crowd control, DPS, Tarya Gratar solo, and very good timers for solo expeditions. There was a problem with the final Arbiter that has a lot of hit points and our skills and mods don't hit so hard or consistent, so I made a final adjustment I will explain later in case you don't want to make a lot of changes, just to change your Pax Tree and one mod to make things a little easier. For the armor and weapons we're using of course the Reforged head, chest and legs that have anomaly power, skill life leads and cooldown reduction, and the best mods we're going to use: Double Fan, Final Breath, Death Sentence. This actually makes the rotation a lot smoother, reducing the cooldown of Feed the Flames by 50%, otherwise it's a little more awkward, but I do like Final Breath after a lot of testing and I do recommend it. For the chest, Branded, Big Boom, no resistance against the Fortified, still works even if 65% of armor piercing value is converted into resistant piercing. I still recommend it, and Big Boom of course. Thermal Bomb deals a lot of damage and 40% increase radius explosion is just a must. For the legs, these are not the god roll because we're not using the heat wave, so it's a dead mod. However, Flame Grasper and Fire Frenzy, which come as a default, is a must. Having two thermal bombs actually makes the build smoother. For the epic pieces we need something with anomaly power, status power, and then skill life leech or healing received, something like that. Anomaly power and status power should be the best priority because all the legendary pieces don't have status power and we won't have very good duration for the Ash. That's why I do recommend it. Captain Hunter, Bullet Kindling, Ash increase range. No, Bullet Kindling I'm a little skeptical about this mod. However, because I'm using the Firestorm for my weapons, this is not a completely dead mod. Otherwise, if you're not using Firestorm, this will only be affected by the enemies from the thermal bomb, and I don't think it's probably the best option because you don't get as much value compared, for example, to Ashen Boost. But yeah, if you have to choose between Ashen Boost and Bullet Kindling, prioritize Ashen Boost. For the boots, anomaly power, status power, and of course the same things. Now, Fire Trap and Unstoppable Force, this is one of the best mods. I do like it, it deals a lot of damage, help to explode the enemies. I do like it, I do highly recommend it, and it scales a lot for the debuff from the Ash Blast, and thanks to a Pax Tree. Empowerment, I'm not very impressed by this mod. It deals very decent damage, but I don't think it contributes a lot for the AoE. So probably I'm going to replace this with something else, or I'm going to take all the god rolls, keep it and just try it without it, but I believe we don't need it. For the weapons, you need something with armor piece, status power and skill life leech. If you don't find all the attributes, armor piece and status power are top priority. For example, the Roaring Ubra is pretty good. Kinetic Storm is not the best because you have to move closer to the enemies. However, if it has a decent apocalypse mods, as am I, that has a Claymore Torrent, and you can add Firestorm, it's something you can add. I will tell you in the end the ideal mods I want to run for this setup. However, I do prefer the armor piece, status power and these mods, because for the secondary weapon I would recommend the Funeral Pyre to have Shadow Comment, the Claymore Torrent and Weakness Trap, because these mods with an automatic shotgun proc from each pellet for the enemies they hit, so you can do a lot of crazy things. If you don't have the Funeral Pyre and you have something with Shadow Comment, as I do have something with armor piece, status power, it's not so important to have the stats. Prioritize the mods for the secondary weapon because we just switch to the weapon, shot a couple of shots and switch to our primary weapon. The third weapon is optional, just in case you need to proc it. you need the sidearm with Morning Winds, Radiation Splash and Clip Combustion. This way, each time you reload your weapon, you will deal massive damage in close range in case you have a lot of mobs or you want to deal burst damage in the boss. If you don't have all three, I would prioritize something with Radiation Splash and Morning Winds. The ideal scenario is to get lucky with a Torment and Agony because it has the Clip Combustion as a standard mode, and hope that get an Apocalypse mode, either the Morning Winds or Radiation Splash. This way you will have all three modes that you want, and it also has Armor Piece status power, which are quite good stats for a sidearm. Otherwise, prioritize these two modes. For the talents, I have tested to go all the way for Hot Situation. However, I found no huge difference going all the way to Tempestry compared to go to Hot Situation, because we have a lot of Anomaly power, and I do like Finish Nestling. It's one of my favorite and highly recommended nodes, highly underrated. It saved me a lot of time because in case you die, you just lose a run, but Phoenix Nestling is just in case and works very well. If you don't mind using Phoenix Nestling, you can sacrifice a couple of mods and Grave Ablaze to go up here for Hot Situation, because I do recommend to go Marble Orchant and Wildfire. This way our skills have very good cooldown, especially Ash Blast, and the rotation is very smooth. Now for the Pax Tree. You could go for the Pyromaniac, for Master Exploder, Convection, Backdraft and probably Conduction, something like that, and have pretty good cooldowns and Anomaly power. However, I like Carbonization for the simple reason that it tells 25% more Anomaly damage. Anomaly damage is the best stat in Outriders because it scales with everything that is not the physical damage of the weapon. For example, for our tree, it scales the mods, all our skills, and our armor mods. For example, the Fire Trap, it deals 25% more damage. So yes, I do recommend it to go like this, and not only that, because we have the Carbon Footprint, you will have very good skill cooldowns. For the Ash Blast, it has at least 2 or 3 seconds less cooldown, and Feed the Flames, it gets an instant cooldown every time you use Ash Blast, so the rotation is very smooth, and I do highly recommend it. You don't lose so many value from the Pax Tree. Coming in hot works very well. Ashen Regalia, I don't like. Ashen Wake, I have tried it. It doesn't contribute so much in the damage, and I do like the Ashen Regalia to have 21% mitigation to help a little bit for survivability. Hot Streak is the only dead mod if you go here for the Pax Tree, and Carbonization and Carbon Footprint works very well. All the way 25% Anomaly damage is better than having Anomaly power increase, because Anomaly power will only scale the skills and the burn, and we don't inflict so much burn, compared to Anomaly damage that in skills the weapon mods and armor mods. This works as well, the Pyromaniac, but in my opinion I do like the Carbonization and Carbon Footprint a lot better. For the Ascension tree, in case you're a beginner player, go all the way to Anomaly and to Armor Pierce, then you can get damage against elites, some survivability, a little bit of armor, resistance, mitigation against elites, and after you maxed out everything else, you can go for magazine size, and the others are not so important. We don't shoot our weapons so frequently. This is a dead mod because we have a lot of cooldown reduction, above 55% I think. Any cooldown reduction you're getting from here is redundant, unless you get it from the glass nodes or the other Pax trees. This is relevant, and Wildfire is relevant, but from the Ascension tree, the cooldown reduction is irrelevant, about 55% for now. So instead of looking on the alternative weapon mods and armor mods, I'm going to give you the ideal scenario of the best optimal build here using the application of Outriders. Link in the description. Kudos to the creator. Very good tool, very nice to see our builds and share them with your fans. I do prefer to have, for example, an AK because it has very good reload speed, very good range. I do like it with Omen, Storm Whip and Firestorm, something like that. The Funeral Pyre, as I told you, Claymore Torrent, Shadow Comment, Weakness Trap, the Torment and Agony, and these are all the mods I recommend. For the mods I'm missing, Ashen Boost, Power Simulation are one of my favorites. It increases a little bit more your Anomaly power, and Ashen Boost, a 12% extra damage against enemies afflicted by Ash is always good because we inflict a lot of Ash. and I leave bullet kindling because I will use this against bosses or high health enemies, and because I'm going to have Firestorm as my main weapon mod. Otherwise, the same goes as well. Ideal scenario to have Anomaly Power, Status Power, Skill Life Leech for everything else. Feel free to take a screenshot, to review it, and to make your own changes, because in my opinion the flex slot is probably the power simulation and bullet kindling. You can change this to have a little more survivability if you want, a damage absorber in case you find yourself dying, but I don't think you will have a lot of problem. Ash Blast has a lot of crowd control, Feed the Flames the same, and healing and crowd control, and the mitigation here from the Pax Tree also helps a little bit, so I don't think it's necessary. But if it is, and you also have the Phoenix Nestling, but if it is, yes, just try some survivability. The rotation is pretty straightforward and simple. We open with Thermal Bomb, go for Feed the Flames, Thermal Bomb, Ash Blast, Feed the Flames. Because we're using Ash Blast before Feed the Flames, we're getting it back immediately, so we can use it, and because we're using Feed the Flames, Ash Blast will come back in 3 seconds, in the same almost amount that Feed the Flames. So you will then use once again Thermal Bomb, Feed the Flames, Ash Blast, Thermal Bomb, Feed the Flames, and rinse and repeat. Very easy, very smooth, very good rotation, and when you have the time, if you have a little downtime on your skills, use your weapons. As you can see in the background, we don't have so much downtime on our skills because the cooldowns are ridiculously low, and we get both Feed the Flames and Ash Blast back even faster, so that's why I'm not using the Fortress or Mage's Rage. So for the final Arbiter, I do a couple of changes. I replace Fire Frenzy, preferably from the Waistcloth of the Forge, with another Waistcloth if you're lucky to have something like Anomaly Echo or a mod I'm missing, because I don't want to have 2 Thermal Bombs. They don't deal so much damage against the final Arbiter, so I want the rotation to be a little smoother, because we're going to rely on the Pax Tree. I'm changing to go to the Pyromaniac and have the Melting Point, Master Exploder, Convection, Furnace, and Burned Offerings. Actually, this is what kills the final Arbiter a lot. If we keep the burn uptime 24/7, eventually it will start ticking for around 800,000, something like that, but after a while it will start ticking for 3, 5, 8 million per second, so it's ridiculous the damage you deal because of the burn offerings, and this is the only solution for now I have found to kill the final Arbiter just smoother, because you run around applying your burn with your weapons, your mods, and you just keep your rotation, and it's much easier instead of just changing a lot of mods and going in a hybrid build using the carbon ammo and bullet frenzy or something like that. I do prefer to change nothing else, keep the same weapons, and just change the Pax Tree. That works pretty well with the burn offerings and deals a lot of damage to the final Arbiter. You can also change your main weapon to have, for example, something with Fortress and Mage's Range, just to deal a little more damage for the final Arbiter, but the damage don't expect to be such a huge difference. I do prefer to have the mods with the Firestorm and everything else, the rotation, that will contribute a little bit further for the damage, but most of your damage will come essentially from burn and the burned offerings. If you wonder how we apply burn, Thermal Bomb applies burn, and also Firestorm applies burn to the Arbiter, and that's how we will keep it up 24/7. And that was it for today's video. I really hope this will help you build your own variation of the Reforged Pyromancer updated build. Very good rotation, very good timers, very smooth. I do like it. This is probably the final form for now, unless I find more things, I try more things, and I see if it works a little better. But for now, this works the best for everything I have tried. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video. Extra thank you for all your support and staying until the end. Feel free to like and subscribe to stay tuned for more upcoming videos for Outriders Worldslayer and other video games. And as always, I wish you all a wonderful and fantastic day.